Hello guys and welcome to week 10 of Word 110. This semester is flying by and we're already on our next unit, which is the annotated bibliography. So I wanted to do a little lecture to go along with this PowerPoint since we're starting a new unit and I want everyone to be on the same page. And many apologies, I'm not screen recording anything except for the screen itself right now because my computer is being very slow and old. And I'm also just going to click through the PowerPoint so that we don't have any awkward lag in between slides as my computer struggles to be alive, just like the rest of us. Before we get started with the annotated-bibliography, I wanted to mention two things. One, that I am so happy to have seen a lot of your faces over the past few weeks doing Zoom conference times. I am always happy to do that with anyone, as long as you email me and give me 24 hours notice. I find that it's really helpful to talk things through verbally versus typing it out in an email, so please set that up with me if you're struggling in any way. The second thing is do make sure that you are checking your feedback on your assignments. I will always leave feedback on discussion board posts for your major discussion board posts and on your drafts of your essay, so like the first draft or your outline. And it's really important that you check that feedback so that you can see how to improve things and you can learn from your mistakes instead of repeating them. And if you don't know how to check feedback, I'm going to post a link to a video that helps you through that, or you can email me and I can direct you in how to check your feedback. So this week we're going to start our annotated bibliographies. So we've kind of made a research plan so far with our proposal, and now we're moving into conducting that research itself. So before you jump into conducting your research, you do want to ask yourself a few questions about what do you already know about your topic? So what gaps are you filling in through your research? What does your target audience know or believe? Have you identified who the target audience of your essay, final photo essay, is going to be? And think about ethos, logos, and pathos too, how you yourselves are going to use your sources to establish your own ethos, logos, and pathos in your final photo essay to make it the best argument that it can be. This is really important. You need to make sure you review the week 8 PowerPoint on evaluating sources. There's so much good information in there about how to find sources, what sources are credible, and how to annotate a source, how to find a scholarly article and read a scholarly article because they can be a little hard to decipher. So do make sure you review that PowerPoint. That is very important as we're moving forward. I have a little summary of a reminder of how to annotate texts here that I'll let you read, but do make sure you review that PowerPoint to see the full explanation of how to do that. So for your annotated bibliography, essentially what you are going to be doing is you're going to be finding your 5 to 7 sources, and you're going to be annotating each one, writing a short 150 words about each source, how it could be helpful to you in your essay, what its main point is, how it might connect to other sources. And these sources need to be, one needs to be from a peer-reviewed journal article in the library database, so I'll walk you through that in just a second. And then at least one needs to be a primary source. So this is either going to be from your own primary research, and that's an interview or a survey. We talked about that a few weeks ago. And that will be required for your final photo essay. But if you don't have time to do your interview or survey before October 30th, when the annotated bibliography is due, you are also allowed to use a primary source like an archival image or primary research that has been published in a peer-reviewed journal just for the annotated bibliography assignment. And make sure you don't skip this video that introduces you to what an annotated bibliography is, what it should look like, its main purpose, the goals that you should have from completing one. I wanted to focus in the lecture portion more on finding your sources. So I've got some links here, very helpful, from the UK library. So you can click here and it'll take you to the library, a page on the library's database that walks you through how to interpret what all of these funky words mean on a library search results page. I wanted to walk you through the second point, which is finding a scholarly source just using the library page. So what I've done is I've just, on here, I've linked the main UK libraries page right here, and there should be this big search bar called InfoCat Discovery. What you want to do is type in one or more of your key search terms here. So let's say I'm doing an essay on global warming. I'll just hit search. I'll type in global warming, hit search. My computer will take forever to load, which is a key part of research. And you'll come up with this page that basically everything to do with global warming in the UK library's database. Here on the left, you'll see this under Refine My Results that says peer-reviewed journals. You want to click on that and then click Apply Filters. And now all of the results are going to be peer-reviewed journal articles, which is what you're looking for that scholarly source. So you can read through them, see if any of them will help you. And that's a really easy way to find a peer-reviewed journal article for your annotated bibliography. Some of you guys seem to be a little confused about that on your last source assignment. So make sure that you've got that down and that you have at least one of those peer-reviewed journal articles, if not more, in your annotated bibliography. So I've got some kind of questions for you about what kind of information you should be searching for, how to approach that. I'll let you read through there. I wanted to touch on the interviews and the surveys, so this primary research that you'll be doing for your final photo essay. Most of you guys seem to have an idea of who you should interview. If you want to conduct an interview, you only have to conduct, either an interview or a survey. So that's up to you. But if you don't know, if you think you're going to be conducting an interview, but you're not sure who you're going to do it with, you want to figure that out ASAP. Like I said, it would be best if you could do your interview before October 30th, so you could include it in your annotated bibliography. So interviews should be with an expert, like a professor or the leader of an organization, or it can be a person from the affected community who has dealt with this problem. I encourage you to reach out to several candidates for interviews, not just one, just as a backup plan in case one of them falls through, doesn't answer quick enough, that sort of thing. You want to make sure you conduct these interviews by phone call or by email. I really probably would recommend email just because it's easiest and it means that you don't have to record it. However, you're welcome to do it by phone call. Please do not do interviews in person. It's really not safe right now to be interacting with people who are not in your immediate bubble in person right now, so please don't do that. So the interviews, make sure that you give them a deadline to respond to your questions if you're doing it by email. Make sure you're professional, kind, and that you understand that they're being generous by helping you. Don't be really pushy. If they are really busy and don't have time, just reach out to another person. Make sure if you're doing the interview by phone call that you write your questions beforehand so there aren't any awkward silences or, weird gaps where you're trying to think of what to say next, and you don't actually get the research that you need to get from this. And then make sure you have them sign an interview release. I have put that on the week 10 module for you. A sample interview release, and I've also talked about that in the research reminders PowerPoint. For the interview questions themselves, start with their name and their experience or what makes them an expert in this. Make sure your questions are really specific, not super broad. Don't ask questions that can be answered with a yes or no. Ask open-ended questions. And think about what information they can give you that no one else can. It might be that you're talking to someone who's local, and so they can localize the problem in a way that other research that you find on the internet can't. And then also think about, do you want your questions geared towards pathos, logos? How will you use their interview in your essay? For example, if it's someone who's been affected personally by this problem and they're part of that affected community, you might use them mostly for pathos. So you want to ask those kinds of questions about their personal experience. Versus an expert, you might want to focus more on what's their research in, what do they know about this problem, what kind of data or evidence can they give you. As far as surveys go, surveys can be a really good way to gather statistical data. So I have an example here of how you can structure a survey to give you information about, in my example, racial discrimination. So for example, you might ask a group of 100 students in your, UK, I think it's what UK 100 class. You might ask them, have you ever experienced racial discrimination at work? And 50% of students respond yes. And of those 50 students, 98 of the students who have experienced racial discrimination also answered yes to being Black, Indigenous, or people of color. So then you can draw a conclusion that being BIPOC makes you more likely to experience racial discrimination, and that's an example of primary research, so drawing conclusions based on data that's available to you. As far as conducting these surveys go, I recommend that you make them anonymous. More people will respond this way. I would probably ask demographic questions first so that you can get some idea of who these people are who are responding, especially if your research question is geared towards a specific gender or a specific race or ethnicity. So you want to ask those sorts of questions first. I would probably recommend asking yes or no questions or doing multiple choice versus, trying to pull quotes from a survey. Usually that's not super helpful. And then I would definitely make sure that the group that you survey includes members of your affected community. So, for example, it would be really unhelpful for you to survey UK seniors if your affected community was teenagers. So that wraps up the annotated bibliography kind of tips PowerPoint that I have for you. There's more information on the module for the week 10 week. And if you have any other questions, please reach out to me through email. We can set up a Zoom, or I can just answer you in a good old-fashioned email. I will see you all, or not see you, next week.